Hi, can I have a name for CE3 Solutions? Are you a member?
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Hey, good evening.
Everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening, Ed.
How you doing?
Great, thanks.
Good. Hey, Brian, thanks for all of the great information you sent.
You're welcome, Ed. Sorry I couldn't provide additional stats for you there. And you know, some of it's a little bit outdated.
Yeah,
So I apologize about that.
that's okay. I had a few more questions on some other stuff around it too, so I'll send you a note.
All right.
Hello.
Hello,
How are you, Edward?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Doing well today.
Good. Is everybody ready for a little bit of rain?
Finally,
Yeah,
Yes, please.
we definitely.
Are you promising some rain?
Hey, I wish I could. If I had that magic wand, we'd be a little bit wet today. I think we need it.
Yes.
looks like we got a lot.
Get the leaves off my grass.
A lot coming in the next 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Huh?
Looks like a lot between now and Christmas.
Yeah.
Hey, Maury, how you doing?
Good, just studying for finals.
Yeah,
Hard stuff.
season, huh?
How are you, Francis?
I'm very good.
Good.
Excited from decorating.
We'll give everybody a couple more minutes to get going, and I know one won't be here tonight at an emergency. Let us know he has emergency come up today, so and then we'll try to punch this out in an hour, hopefully.
Hello, Carl.
Earl, how you doing? All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Amber, you want to go ahead and take roll call?
George Kennedy.
Yep. Present.
Edward Hoffman.
Present.
Andrew Obando. I think he's absent. Francis McCullough. Okay. Jose McNeil. Is Jose here? I see his name.
Jose,
are
Jose's
you-
here. On mute.
Jose, are you present? I need him to say he's actually there. Okay, Carl DeMoss. Mari Bowie.
Here.
Michael Brito. Muriel Clemente.
I am here.
Sabine Gorky Schroed.
Present.
And Tara Lee Martin.
I am here.
Okay, thank you.
I'm this is Jose. I'm here. Sorry, I'm in my car. So
Okay.
I was struggling.
Oh, okay, thank you. All
Thanks.
right, George, everyone's here. Do you want to do member
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do
reports?
member reports, and hopefully we can all keep it, since we're still pretty new into the project, we can keep them pretty short and sweet, hopefully under a minute each, since there's 11 of us plus the and I'm going to ask finance as well as Amber if they have something after we give our reports. So I have a very short report. You know, we'll go over last month's items. Point subcommittee people tonight to the 4 subcommittees that have come up with, and you know, getting ready for the holiday season. So that's my nice short report for tonight. Ed? You're on mute.
You need to
Still on mute, Ed.
How's that? Can you hear me?
There we go.
All right.
now.
Hey, well, I have a short report as well, and wanted to say it's a real pleasure and honor to be a part of this committee. And I've been spending my time reviewing the budget and probably bugging Brian to no end just for data to take a look at. And so that is sort of where I am, and I'm going to defer my time to the other committee members so that we can get into the heart of our work.
Francis?
I do not have a report per se. I just have written some potential goals that I want to share when it's appropriate.
Fantastic. Jose?
Yeah, same thing. I've been digging into the budget and look forward to getting to work and finding out how to get some more participation and more transparency. So that's my report.
Thanks, Jose. Carl? Carl, you're on mute.
Nothing this time around.
Fantastic. Mari?
Nothing to report. Just hope everyone has a good holiday season.
Great. Michael? Okay. Muriel?
Okay, sorry, I'm driving, so I may be cutting in and out. Just a short report. I did some outreach to Solano Community College students and some Fairfield High graduates. I don't have the information in front of me. I'm not really ready to share it yet, but just kind of did some community outreach. And I reviewed the budget. So I hope everybody has a great holiday season though. And looking forward to the various tasks that we have.
Great. Sabine?
Same, nothing to report. I've reviewed the budget and I look forward to the discussion tonight.
Fantastic. Tara Lee?
I have nothing to report.
Great. Amber?
I also have nothing to report.
Okay. Emily, Brian?
I can say, I know that Brian did prepare some some information for discretionary funding that we didn't, I don't believe we were able to connect to get it on the agenda, but Brian has prepared something if you all are interested in looking at that. It was all him since I have, since the last time I saw you all, I joined the COVID club. So I feel like I've been on another planet. So I really have nothing financially to report. I've been very ill, but Brian has been working a lot and making up for my losses. So
I'm sorry to hear. I hope that you're getting through it okay.
yeah, I hope to taste something
Oh,
sometime, hopefully by Christmas. That would be nice. Yeah, be safe. It's kind of frightening. Hopefully you all have been able to avoid it thus
Glad
far.
to see you looking well.
I have makeup on, but thank you. Yeah, so that's all.
Yes, as Emily mentioned at the last meeting, there was some discussion about getting an understanding of the city's discretionary funds. And those funds are held in our city's general fund. I prepared a presentation. I don't know how in depth you guys want to get into it, but let me just share my screen with you all. Searching for it here.
Or I don't know, maybe we should wait. George, did you want to wait until after? Did you want to add it to the agenda, or is there a place to naturally insert it?
Well, yeah.
I think this would be the
we can
best
actually
place
hold off
since
on
it's
continued
reports.
business, since that we did discuss that last week. So why don't we just hold that right now, get the public comments, and then we'll go over that under continued business.
Sounds good. And I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible for everyone. Just ask questions as we go here, or we could just wait till the end.
Yeah, we're gonna wait.
Okay.
I think they could wait, yeah.
Yeah, let me pull up the report, and for some reason I'm looking at my share and I don't see it up here. Okay, I think I know what I did.
Okay, what we'll do, let's go ahead under public comments. Amber, do you read that or do you want me to?
I can read it. All right, under public comments, the public may speak on items not on the agenda, but within the jurisdiction of the Budget Advisory Committee, provided that no action may be taken on off-agenda items except as authorized by law. Off-agenda items from the public will be taken under consideration without discussion by the committee and may be referred to staff. Public comments can be made during the meeting. Use the raise your hand feature or press *9 on your phone to request to speak. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Is there anyone attending that would like to speak? Hold on, I have a chat. Okay, let's see. I'm not showing anyone that wants to speak, so no public comments.
Okay. We'll go on down to consent calendar, approval of the minutes from November 19th.
I, Francis McCullough, move that they are minutes approved as submitted.
I had one question on that.
Okay.
As I reviewed the minutes, I thought that at our last meeting, we changed the meeting days. And I didn't see that reflected in the minutes.
I wasn't sure if you guys wanted to stick to that or not, so I just kept it at what the next meeting date was and then put on the
Okay.
agenda set next meeting date. I didn't know if you guys wanted to set a set schedule yet.
I had calendared all the meeting dates so that I don't get confused on that. So I really, for me, I need to calendar dates or else I get other commitments and I'm just not able to be as efficient with things.
Hey, well, if I remember correctly, I think that we moved to this date and time because it was a date and time that worked for everyone's calendar, because the other date that we had picked, there was a conflict on the day of the week. So George, I mean, if you would like
Yeah,
to,
I think, we've got it under new business for set meeting date.
yeah.
And I know we talked about the second Thursday. So under new business, we'll set that meeting date for a consistent second Thursday of the month at 5:30.
Okay.
All right.
Does
So
someone
I've
want
got
to, someone needs to second the motion to approve the calendar.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay,
Sure.
and then I need to do a roll call vote since it's on a call. So I have to do a roll call vote for the motion. George Kennedy,
Yep.
Edward Hawthorne,
Yes.
Jose McNeil,
Yes.
Carl DeMoss,
Yes.
Mari Bowie,
Yes.
Muriel Clemente,
Yes.
Bean, and Tara Lee.
I approve.
All right. Okay, motion carries unanimously.
Great. Okay, now we'll go on to continued business, discussion of committee goals and such. Carl, we'll start with you because you were tasked with our mission statement. And I think kicking off the first, in-depth meeting, it'd be nice to start off with our mission statement and see if everybody approves of that. Any changes?
Okay. Now I have to bring it up. See where let me get my other computer here. One quick sec. Sorry about that.
You'd have this thing memorized. Provide fiscal decision-making advice to the city council.
Yeah, I really should. Let's see. Okay. And I apologize as I didn't write it out on my screen so that I could share it with everybody, because I know that's much easier when you can actually see it. But what I did was I took a look at the resolution that authorized the budget committee. And in that, the most significant portion of it, the salient portion says, advise the city council regarding the expenditures, revenues, and financial policies in relation to the 2021 budget. Okay, so that really sets the foundation for what the committee is about and the foundation of any goal that we would have. And so recognizing that, I looked at a draft mission statement and wanted to kick it around with you guys to see how we can enhance this thing and what we can do with it. That would say, provide fiscal decision-making advice to the city council in relation to the 2021 budget and establish methods for public participation and improved transparency into fiscal decision-making for the fiscal year 21-22 budget. Okay, so I'll repeat the statement again, but before I do, what I want to make a note of, because I feel it's a key, in the resolution that authorized this committee, there is only the reference to the existing fiscal year that we're in, which is 2020 and 2021. So in June of 21, we will go and, or the city will adopt a new budget for fiscal year 21-22, which will start on July 1. What I believe is important is that what this committee does is look at the existing budget, but make recommendations that we hope can be reflected in the upcoming budget. And that's the reason why I believe it was a key that we put the year 21-22 in our mission statement. And we go back to council through staff to let them know this is what our mission is, and we just want them to know and understand what we would be doing. So let me read it one more time. And again, I apologize because I didn't have to bring it up on the screen. Provide fiscal decision-making advice to the city council in relation to the 2021 budget and establish methods for public participation and improve transparency into fiscal decision-making for the fiscal year 2021-22 budget. So with that, I'll open this up to comments and see if we can enhance this in other ways, or you had different thoughts about a direction you wanted to take on it.
So I really like the mission statement. One tweak that I would suggest is, instead of identifying the 21-22 budget, is maybe change that to future budgets.
Okay.
So we're not limited to just like the one, but maybe this will take hold and they'll do it for, numerous budgets past this current budget.
Yeah, I
That
had
was my only
a similar thought of after the 2021-22 budget, and then just put and beyond.
Okay, now we are only established through June of 2021.
Correct.
So
we'll take some liberties in that.
So Mr. Chair, I like his statement completely, except we have added time that is not within our purview at this time. And I think that additional time, it has to be a proposal. It has to be submitted as a proposal for future budgets.
Okay.
Anybody else have thoughts on
I
this?
agree with the statement that it should be, we should not limit it to a specific time, only because, some of the things that we do may go beyond the, 2021, 2022, or, and beyond that. I think being first, I don't know if you want to call it a cohort, the first cohort, it lays the foundation of what it's supposed to do. I think adding a time kind of limits, what, it just puts limitations on that. I think the idea of us guiding what we want to do is beyond a specific time frame.
Well, one of the comments that I would like to add would be that, number one, I like the mission statement, but I also believe that we have to operate within the purview of the charges that put us in place. And I think that later on, we're going to be talking about sort of future states, and in those recommendations could be a recommendation that a committee like this continues on to do more work. But in the context, I agree with Francis, of what we've been charged to do, it's within the boundaries of that. Anything beyond that is a recommendation, right? I mean, so I understand what you're saying about like not getting bounded, which I think you're right. But I think if we do our work, one of the recommendations out of our work could be that this committee gets extended, or that this committee is a standing committee that lives on in the future to do this type of work.
Oh, let me read the under purpose. So under B, under A talks about 2020 and 2021 budget. B, though, the committee shall report to the city council on topics deemed important to the fiscal health of the city, encouraging participation and input into fiscal decision making. And that's where I'm kind of taking our liberty, because the fiscal health of the city is not just a
annual event.
We're going to be making our final report isn't going to be until June of 2021, when any decisions we make and recommendations that we make, that budget's already going to be done. And that's why I'm thinking along Carl's lines is taking it into the next budget year, because of the fact that they've given us till June to give them a final report, and in June is the end of that fiscal year. So that's why I think I honestly think that there's a little bit of a not necessarily a typo, but just
hey George,
they hurried that through to the point that they didn't think through that our report's due in June and their budget ends in June.
How about George? If I could add something real quick, could we just, and I again not having the statement in front of me, but Carl, if we instead made the budget, 2021 budget, just made it budgets plural, and just left it at that, because that gives discretion both to the committee and also the city council if they want to continue it after this, if that makes sense, if you follow the logic.
So you're saying, so just make the word budgets plural.
Correct. How's that read? Again, you have it in front of you. I don't, but the theory I'm going after here is just, if you make it plural, it can be more, it could be just this, but the city council gets to direct what we do. That's what I'm kind of looking at. So.
Well, I guess one way of looking at this as well is, although the city puts together a 2-year budget, they always have forecasts. If you look at the budget now, it's forecasted how far out, Emily? Probably another 5 years or something.
Gosh, I think we got 8 years.
Yeah. So it is forecasted. So maybe it's not a stretch, as you're saying, to say budgets, because
that's exactly it, Carl. That's why I thought, because what we do now will impact the forecasted budgets down the road.
Right.
Our recommendations. So by not limiting it to this year, next year, just saying, we were empowered to bring transparency, to bring all this stuff into the budget process. It's ongoing. So anyway, those are my 2 cents worth. So.
Let me see. Amber, I should be able to share on the screen, right?
Yeah, it's the green button at the bottom.
Okay, let me try that then. Let's see here. Does that show up?
Document one.
But I don't see a mission
Portion
statement.
of it.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys say what you want and I'll edit it right now. If that makes it easier for everybody. So what's the consensus then on adding the word, making the word budget plural to
Yeah.
budget?
Yeah, Carl, in looking at it, if you remove 2020, 2021 and just make it budgets, that's I think a great mission statement. That could be singular, it could be just for this year, or it could continue, but we won't have to, we don't tie it to a single year.
Okay, and then do we take out upcoming, we could take that out then, right? Upcoming.
Correct.
2021.
Yeah.
You could take out 2021, 2022, and just put upcoming budgets.
Budgets, I like that.
Exactly.
Mhm.
How's that?
Yes,
You have to
that's good.
specify this is for Fairfield City Council.
Yes. It's our working document, but we'll present to them our mission statement when we
That's it.
are requested to give a report.
So it should say Fairfield City Council.
Solid.
All right.
Yeah, I think that does it, because that's who empowered the committee, is the city council, right? So our report goes to them and it's on the budgets, period. Boom. I think that wins. Just my humble opinion. Good job, Carl.
Okay. All right. Do we take, or does everybody agree that this is, any other additions, subtractions?
It seems nice and complete.
Okay.
So I think what we have to do is, if I make a motion to adopt what Carl has on the screen as our mission statement,
I would second that.
and then it turns over to a vote. There we go. Yay.
All right, George. Edward.
Yes.
Francis.
Yes.
Yes.
Carl. Mari.
Yes.
Michael. Can't
Oh,
hear you,
sorry,
Michael.
yes.
Sabine
Yes.
and Terle.
Yes.
All right, motion passes unanimously.
I'll email that to you, Amber.
Okay, thank you.
And okay, now we'll go on to the next continuing business item. Brian, you ready now?
Yeah, I think I found where the document was, so I can go ahead and put it up on screen here. Can everybody see that okay?
Great.
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Like I mentioned at the last meeting, there was some discussion about gaining an understanding of the city's discretionary funds. Those funds are held in our general fund, although we do have other funds like the water fund, our transportation fund or transit fund. The discretionary funds are sitting in our general fund. So I'm going to be giving a brief overview on the revenues and expenditures. So I'm just going to jump right in here. I think a lot of you have already seen this in the budget document. I did put a little bit of a percentage of budget just to kind of give you an understanding of the magnitude of the impact of each line item. So let me go with property taxes. Property taxes is about 25 million, 24.41%. Motor vehicle in lieu of taxes and fees is 11 million, So motor vehicle in lieu of taxes, these are part of the car registration fee. So that's when you pay that. You pay that when you purchase a car or when you annually to register your car. Sales taxes, this is the 1% local tax. They call it the Bradley Burns sales tax. That's $20 million or almost 20% of the revenue budget for the general fund. Measure P taxes, that is the 1% voter approved transactions and use tax. I believe the approval for that was back in November of 2012. And we did a 15-year extension that ends in 2033, I believe. Utility and franchise taxes, this is mainly 2% on the dollar amount of utility. Utility for gas and electricity, telephone and cable TV. Other taxes, almost $6 million. This is with regards to our transient occupancy tax. So if you go to a hotel, motel, you're paying this tax on top of what you are paying for the hotel. Business license tax, golf admissions tax, real property transfer tax. So that's sitting in other taxes. Building permits, license permits and fines. This consists of building permits, encroachment permits, vehicle code fines. I'm pretty much just describing, what's a major composition of each of these line items. But there could be other items in these line items as well. I just wanted to mention that too. Intergovernmental, almost about 400,000. These are state mandated costs. So the state is required to reimburse local governments for the costs incurred for programs mandated by the state. This could be like peace officer trainings that are mandated. Charges for services. So a majority of this is parks and recreation fees. First responder fees, fire first responder fees. Those are fees that are charged to insurance companies of patients who are treated or evaluated by Fairfield firefighters for medical services. So that fee is in here as well. Investment income, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Miscellaneous, a lot of this has to do with fire strike team reimbursements when our fire department goes across the country across the California to help out and fight fires. We get a reimbursement from the state for that, for personnel, for vehicles, for admin related to those strike teams. The transfer in CFD 2006-1 and transfer in CFD 2012-2. This is our community facilities district. And these are special assessments, taxes that the property owner has to pay. For 2006-1, these are developments after 2006. And for CFD 2012-2, these are developments after 2012. So these are our expectation of using some of these funds to help pay for services because these are services CFDs. So they'll help pay for public safety, park maintenance, and some open space. So that's pretty much on the revenue side. Did you guys have any questions on that?
Quick question for you, Brian. For sales tax, with the stores closed for COVID, with the auto mall hit, for next fiscal year's, or for this fiscal year's budget, are you tracking that these projections would still be the same for the sales tax, for example?
I can go ahead and answer that if you'd like. No, Carl, great question. So as you know, we work with HGL, sales tax consultant, to help us during COVID come up with some projections. And obviously they've never done something like that for a pandemic, so they kind of made up some way of helping us figure out what the impact could be. And we do think that is extremely low at this point, probably about a little under a couple million too low. So we do think that Measure P and sales tax will perform far better than what you see on the screen right there. So hopefully when you see the expenditures below and you see that they're actually higher than our programmed revenues, it's not going to be as bad as we thought. We won't have to feed into our reserves as much. So, yeah.
Question, are we also expecting a hit on property taxes, especially with forbearance, or is everything still going normally?
Normally, and if we did have an impact, it would be delayed. But we're on the teeter plan, and we don't at this point expect any impact to property taxes. And if anything, we're seeing that, and Carl could probably speak to this too, the newer developments in the city, once they have houses to sell, they go like that. So I think they call it COVID flight. So we're actually seeing people purchasing these new houses and moving to Fairfield. So we actually aren't thinking that property tax is going to be a problem.
Emily, you mentioned something I don't think people are familiar with. The city gets paid for the property tax by the county. So we'll get paid anyway.
Right, teeter plan. Sorry, yeah, thank you, Carl.
Yeah.
We get paid anyways, yeah.
I have a question in regards to the sales taxes with revenues. How much of a hit did the city take with the Momentum bankruptcy, Momentum Auto Group?
That's a good question. So it's hard. So there's two pieces to this, right? So you have your sales tax, your Bradley Burns and Measure P, which is the transaction tax. Now, Measure P is more driven by people's behaviors. So like, let's say if we have a Toyota here, it closes down, people still want to buy a Toyota, they'll drive to Vacaville, we still get the transaction tax from that. We believe that Momentum was about $1 million, $1 million hit with Measure P and sales tax combined. It's a little harder to figure out the Measure P loss because we didn't really lose it because people still purchase that type of vehicle or that
somewhere else.
Right. Yeah. So that was a little harder to put our finger on. But what we reported was about $1 million.
Got it.
Just to kind of piggyback off of Emily, when we were in the Measure P committee meeting last month, I believe, we talked about kind of the shortfalls and understated and the projection that we expect to see, and it didn't take the hit it was anticipated. So we expect it to kind of run steady in the next budget.
Any other questions on this revenue side?
I also do want to point out, so what you see for the transfers for that CFD 2012-2, that figure doesn't necessarily equate to what we are collecting in the assessments. It's just what is that, because that revenue source is tied to growth in the city, we only bring in what we can logically tie to growth and public safety. So we might leave money left over in that fund to build up for other future uses. I just wanted to mention that, Brian.
So Emily and Brian, I have a question. So these general fund revenues for fiscal year 2021, what do the projections look like beyond that? Do they remain steady, or are you expecting that the revenues to take a hit, to decrease over time for some reason, or remain pretty steady?
Remain pretty steady. If anything, where we might see some settling or flattening would be in like things related to building, like permits, and because that's been pretty hot the last couple of years. So maybe that's where we might see some flattening. I mean, we could see a recession, but we don't at this point. What we have forecasted, I don't know off the top of my head, we're not forecasting any dips in any of these major categories, maybe flattening.
So the balance side of that could be the expense side is the issue rather than the revenue.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the revenue? Okay, I'll move forward with the expenditures. Okay, what you're saying here is something that we're not, you know, I don't know if there's a page for this. There might be a percentage graph or chart in the budget document, but I wanted to break down the various types of different categories on the expense side. I think for the general fund schedule, we indicate the various departments and what their what the amounts are, but I wanted to break down like the salaries and benefits and some of the other expenditures. So I'll just kind of walk down this list here. So salaries and benefits, approximately 85 million, which equates to about 77% of the expense budget. This includes salaries, medical benefits, pensions, and other types of benefits. Information technology charges. So these are just the cost of technology, computers, laptops, servers, software agreements, you know, with Microsoft, our financial system software, CCTV cameras, police and fire radios, just the cost of running a city on the technology side. Repairs and maintenance. So these are equipment repairs, weed abatement charges, landscaping, pest control, janitorial, building repairs, concrete for street maintenance. So those are those types of charges there. Contractual services, sometimes we'll hire a consultant, you know, to do some engineering and design work for a project. If we're limited in staffing for plan checking, we might hire a consultant for plan checking. And sometimes we'll go out for a contract for like recruitment services for hiring a vacant, you know, city manager position or parks and rec director, those types of items. Vehicle replacement or maintenance. These are charges to kind of help fund the future replacement of vehicles. We have a separate internal service fund for vehicle replacement to kind of avoid the spiking that you might see on the budget side, on the actual side, actually, for vehicle replacement. You know, if you're going out there for a fire engine that might cost 900,000, it'd be a pretty hefty charge for 1 year for the fire department. But if we put monies into an internal service fund, we can kind of, you know, smooth that expense trend. So that's what we're doing there with vehicle replacement. There's also the maintenance of the vehicles. You know, we're talking about police vehicles, fire vehicles, and so forth, public works vehicles. Operating materials and supplies, 3 million or approximately 3% of the expense budget. These are office supplies, printing services, office equipment, other types of equipment, gasoline for vehicles, for you know, for police and fire, work done for traffic signs, traffic signals, street lights. Like I mentioned on the revenue side, these are just to kind of give you an understanding of what's on these line items. That's not all inclusive. There could be more to the line item here. On utilities, that's about 2.27% or $2.5 million. This is electricity, water, gas, and telephones. Insurance, we have to hold general liability insurance just in case, you know, there's somebody gets hurt or other instances. Property insurance, you know, if a public building, you know, burns down due to the fires, that's on the insurance side there. Interfund transfers out. These are monies that we pay out or send out to other funds. For example, the general fund helps contribute to street maintenance, and street maintenance and are held in our sometimes held in our capital projects fund or streets capital projects fund. So the general fund for this fiscal year is contributing 750,000 for the annual pavement maintenance. So you might have that work being done on your streets, but there is a plan by Public Works to kind of circle around and try to get all the streets maintained. Facilities maintenance and cogeneration. This pays for buildings and facilities maintenance and costs including our cogeneration. So our cogeneration at City Hall, it's a process where we convert gas into electricity. And by doing that, the city is able to save some monies because if we were to pay PG&E directly, it would cost more for the electricity.
Is that the generators that are in this, under the city, in the city? There's like a couple generators that are used, that they
Yeah,
fund for.
we have a big generator at City Hall. It's, you know, close to the 4-story building, right across from the council chambers. That holds our cogenerator, and you know, it's an engine, and you know, it's I'm probably butchering it here, but it's an engine that just takes gas and then transforms it into electricity. So it kind of helps us, you know, we're paying for gas, but if we were to pay for electricity costs directly, instead of going through this process, it would cost us a lot more. So that's what that cogeneration is. Other expenses, this relates to equipment rentals, training, medical exams, and other general expenses. And the reimbursement from other funds. So there are city departments within the general fund, take finance, for example, that provide, is a central service function and provides services to other funds. For example, finance might provide accounting, accounts payable, payroll services to the water fund. So in a process to kind of recoup the cost of the general fund, we'll be requesting from the other funds to contribute for those services that the general fund department is providing. I think that's it. And our expense budget for fiscal year 2021 is almost 111 million. Any questions on that?
I'm just surprised that
Thanks, Brian.
information technology is the second highest cost out of all this. I mean, I would never, there's nothing for me to compare it to, you know, like, oh no, you guys are spending that wrong. But that just seems really high for some Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Yeah, it's internet access, servers, infrastructure, radio communications. I think our radio project was somewhere in the neighborhood of $7 million. When I say radio project, this is like police radios, fire radios, public works radios, radios, you know, across the city, and the infrastructure behind the radios. So yeah, yes, it does. The technology does get expensive.
And it's the staffing, right, Brian? We have this, that's the mechanism by which we're able to recoup the costs of our IT staff.
So
That's
Brian,
correct.
I have a question. As I remember, made a note that the income was around 103 million plus. And I see the expenses seem to far exceed that, 110.
Yeah, the expectation is, you know, that we were going to dip into some of our reserves in order to pay for the expenditures, and also we're probably a little bit conservative, like Emily mentioned, on the revenue side. So we're probably going to exceed our $103 million in revenues to kind of help pay for these additional expenditures over revenues.
So yeah,
Brian, can you take 1 second to go over the reserves in terms of identifying the amounts and the percentage and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't have something to share with everyone, but I did take a look at our ending unassigned reserve balance for 2020, fiscal year 2020, which ended June 30th of 2020. And that amount is roughly $36 million in unassigned reserves.
And
Well-
the council's policy is 20%, so that far exceeds what we are required to have in reserves. But also I want to point out that there's two pieces to that deficit. There's COVID, which was about 5 million, which we think was probably a little too much. And then another piece of this is the unfunded liability, CalPERS unfunded liability. So it kind of, we're starting to peak because it's amortized over a certain amount of time, and it kind of peaks and then it comes down, right? So right now we're kind of climbing the mountain. So over time, if you were to look at our forecast and our budget, you'll see that we have projected deficits, but if you look 6-7 years out, we don't have them. So this was kind of, not that we planned for a pandemic, but we planned for years of deficits, knowing that we would have that unfunded liability and we would likely see a recession.
Yeah, I think actually in the budget document that the city has, it has the 8-year forecast out. It has, I don't recall what page it's on the budget itself, but there's a great layout for, actual projected budget and then projected in the future. And it goes through where that reserve fund is and drawing down. And I'd encourage everybody to look at that. It does a great setup for how to manage that, or how the city's looking at managing that through the projections going forward. So.
Emily, Brian, quick question. For the salary and benefits budgeted amount, these are for positions that may be, that are currently not filled. Is that incorporated in this? So, and our actuals would actually be less?
There's a big possibility that the actuals are going to come in less due to vacancies. And, a lot of times we try to estimate the amount of vacancies, but over the years, we've all, it seems like we're always exceeding on the vacancy side. So yes, this assumes a little bit of a vacancy, but we'll probably see a little bit more in vacancy savings. So we might not hit that $85 million target.
Emily, I have a question for you. So on the city's reserve policy of 20%, is there sort of an average sort of recommendation from the state in terms of what your reserve needs to look like? And then also, if you look at our reserve policy, how does that line up with cities of our similar size?
That's a
I was
really
just
good.
curious about how we got to 20%.
Yeah, gosh. I think that GFOA, I can't even think of what is Government Finance Officer Association. They have best practices. And I want to say 3 months of operating expenses is the rule, or is the best practice. I don't know how the council came up with 20%, and I honestly don't know how it compares to other cities, although generally they are around 20%, not right now, not our neighboring cities, that's for sure. So no, but I can look into that and we can get that to you. That's kind of an interesting thing to look at.
I don't want you to have to do a whole bunch of work, but I was just curious as to how we got to that number.
Yeah, and I think that Fairfield has always, because we were hit so hard by the recession, maybe like Napa, it never dawned on them that they'd lose their hotel taxes. So they didn't really design the reserves with that in mind. Whereas we got hit so hard, I think that we had to back into what we felt was a very responsible reserve, knowing what 2010 looked like. So, I can dig a little and see if I can find where we came up with the 20%.
And Emily, Brian, I have just kind of a general question regarding salaries and benefits, 77% here now. And I know that's always very high on any budget where people are involved. How would that sort of compare with, I consider Fairfield is sort of an lower economical compared to, say, San Mateo or someplace in Napa. Is this sort of a standard amount, 77%? How do we compare with some other cities?
Well, I think this is Jose, and this is just a gratuitous shot. I think we're actually more in line now that Carl retired, so I think we're okay.
What? Just for the one of the committees that'll be coming up under new business will be you'll see we'll be addressing that. So
Okay, thank you.
well, thank you, Brian.
I did have a little bit more for you guys. I don't know if there's a, you know, if you have a palette for a little bit more in detail on the department side. Is that something you guys wanted to proceed with, or is this information a good starting point for you guys to move forward with your the goals for the committee?
Can you email them to us?
Yeah, I could definitely do
That'd be
that.
the best. That way we can absorb it, and then if we have questions, we can come back to you next month or on sidebar.
Sounds good. Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to present to you tonight.
No, thank you.
You.
Okay. Do we have any other continued business to go over? I don't believe we do, so that's why I'm asking. So, okay, we'll go on to new business. Subcommittee assignments. I'm going to try to bring up something here and see if I can do it. Screen. I lost it. Come on. All right, sorry about that. I hit the wrong button and now I am in, there we go. Come on. Sorry guys, I lost my, there, wow. My screen share moved. Can anybody, is my screen share showing?
It's showing.
Yep.
All right, cool. So these are the four subcommittees that I'm going to have us work off of for our time here. First one is Fiscal Budget Goals and Objectives Committee. The committee will look at what the council goals and objectives were and the work plan that led to the adoption of the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget. As most of you know, in January, the council has a work day where the public's invited and they talk about the budget and upcoming items that are pertinent to the city, kind of a state of the city and the fiscal health of that. So this committee will look at the changing goals and objectives and work plan and how it could guide our fiscal health for the city, which is one of our mantras in the upcoming budgets. And how should community policing be reflected in the budget along with the other items? And the committee could look at the city's general fund reserves and what the appropriate percentage of funding should be for fiscal health, which we've already just discussed a little bit here tonight. Also involved would be looking into the general fund expenditures, a little bit more breakdown for seniors, parks and recreation, administration, community development, and others that this subcommittee would see fit. I think that we'll be able to get a good glimpse of how on how we are compared with other cities of our comparable size, not just, within our, our driving distance, but, more geographically in the state of California on the size, Fairfield is the 53rd largest city in the state. And if we look at some of the others in that same range, in the 46 to 60 some odd, we can get a pretty good idea where where we're at and where we'll see where the budget lies. And the second one will be a transparency and accountability committee. This committee will examine suggestions on how to improve transparency, how to get more public participation into the budget formation. The participatory budget project information that Jose and Mari had both discussed would be an example of the work the committee could explore. With the PBP, this would be to examine and make recommendations on proposing to the mayor and council to see if there are some items that the PBP could be used. Example would be CDBG funding, Community Development Block Grant. Now, I realize that the city already has a small committee that looks over the CDBG funds and makes their recommendations to the council. But with this coming week and next week, when we have the new city council set, we're going to have 2 additional council members. Each council member is going to want, they're going to have to change that CDBG committee anyway, because with 2 additional council members, they're going to want their voices heard for their district. So each council member now is going to say, wait a minute, I want my district represented on the CDBG. I think this is an area where a good starting point for having this budget project looking forward to this. And it's a great example of how, with having this committee with greater public participation, we will have a genuine backdrop of how it compares to previous committees. And then the council can see that, okay, this does work or it doesn't work. And if it does work, then at a point in time, they can look at maybe expanding this into other areas of the budget. But for the beginning, I would like to see it start along those lines. The third subcommittee will be looking into the enterprise funds. Now, enterprise funds have to do with the golf course, the water department, things like that, large revenue generators. And in regards to the golf course will be paid off in 2021. There's going to be $1.1 million or $1.2 million approximately that the general fund will not be going towards. And those are some monies that we can, make our recommendations at and saying, okay, this money's available. Now it's tied. It's not just free money and saying, okay, it's willing, we can use it on any project. That's not the case. It's tied to some very specific ways that those funds can be used. And then the other one, and this is, for me, this is the real, and we can make recommendations for future expenditures on this. But the big one that nobody's really been talking about, and I think has where we can truly have the greatest amount of impact, is on developing a cannabis plan and how the city can effectively use those revenues to support homelessness, the extended help with mental health, which is tough because that's really a county and state function, and then recreation and other healthy options to make Fairfield a healthier city. And using this, I think can really, this is where we can make recommendations to the council, because they don't have anything set up for the cannabis tax right now, funding wise. It's just set to go into the general fund. And I think if we really look at this is where some of those other items where the community has expressed an interest for some funding for some specific things could go, and it's all towards making Fairfield a healthier place. And then the fourth one is one I discussed a few minutes ago, is the comparison budget committee. I'd like us to look at other cities in California with a comparable population to Fairfield. We can use Concord, Thousand Oaks, Murrieta, Carlsbad, Antioch, Santa Maria, Vacaville. Some of those cities we have some things in common with. Santa Maria, for instance, you've got Vandenberg Air Force Base right around there. Carlsbad, Fort Ortiz is not too far away from there. So we've got some relative things in common with those cities. And some of these cities are also mostly bedroom communities similar to a larger city like we are. So those are the 4 committees. I'll go from this one up. I've asked Ed Hawthorne to chair this subcommittee for the comparison budget committee. for enterprise funds and the golf courses, Jose McNeil would chair that one. And to the transparency and accountability, Carl is a natural for this. It's right in his wheelhouse, having the experience, you know, with the city and delving into this. The fiscal budget goals and objectives committee, I would like to take, if you would like to either ping me or send me an email. If you'd like to chair that, let me know. I think this one's open. I think it's a real important committee. And I think with all of these 4 committees, it gives everybody a chance to be on a committee, and they're small committees, so that way they don't go overwhelmed with minutia, but can get into with the 3 or 4 people on a committee to really get in and get some work done on the side away from our standard monthly meeting. And then, of course, if you'd like to serve on any one of these committees or 2, please let me know either through email or ping me on this as well, please. Otherwise, I'll just assign people. But I'd like that. If you've got a passion for one of them, I think passion brings greater results.
So can we do that now? Because I have a passion for the first item, and I assume that the committees can get to work right away. So I'd like to be a part of a committee.
Okay, fantastic. And that's number 1?
Yes.
Fantastic. How about, would you like me, what I'll do is I'll just go down the line on our roll call. So Ed, Francis, Jose, Carl, you've all been done there. We'll get back with Andrew Obando when we can. Mari, do you have a preference?
The Transparency and Accountability Committee.
Okay. Michael?
Yeah, both 2 and 3 or 2 and 4. That seems to be my interest.
Okay, I'll put you down on both. Muriel?
I'm not exactly sure, but I know 1 and 2 would probably be my top 2 picks.
Okay.
Although I really like 3 too, so it's hard to pick my top 2. I can shoot you a.
Okay.
I can shoot you a.
If you don't mind, I'll pencil you in on number 1 right now, and then if you want to, we can talk about 2 and 3.
Okay.
Fantastic. Sabine?
Definitely number 3. And if there, I'm kind of hanging on number 2 also. I don't know if time-wise if that will work, but definitely 3.
Okay. And Tara Lee?
I'm leaning toward 3 and 4.
Okay.
You can put me in both.
I'm writing here. And I'll get this out to Amber, and we'll get this out. And then I'm going to volunteer Andrew for number 1. So that way all the committees are have at least 3 people on them. So fantastic.
The name of number 3. What's the committee name?
Which one?
Number 3. What's the committee name?
Enterprise funds, I guess.
We'll call it the Enterprise Fund Committee.
Mm-hmm.
Or we'll call it this Enterprise / Cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
And does anybody have any new business to bring up? Even though we cannot act on it tonight, we can bring it back next week for next month. And then we'll set our next meeting date. The second Thursday each month at 5:30. So for January, that would be the 14th. And then from there on, we will go to the second Thursday at 5. Do I have a motion on that?
I'll motion
Yep.
that. It's Muriel.
Thank
I'll
you, Muriel.
second.
Thank you, Francis. So we have a motion by Muriel, seconded by Francis, that future meetings will be held on the second Thursday of the month at 5:30 p.m. and on Zoom until further notice.
So I have a question, George. Can you hear me?
Go.
So you said that the second Thursday of the month, okay, I got it. The 14th instead of I had the 21st on the calendar.
Yeah.
George, I have a question. It's on the committees and it's number 4. Of course, I didn't volunteer to serve on that committee. And you have some very interesting cities list. Is that committee going to narrow their?
Yeah, those are just some suggestions.
Okay.
Because a lot of those things they can just really get to on some websites or call the city directly.
Okay.
Since we've got a motion on the floor right now, so and seconded, can we do a roll call on those, please, Amber?
Yep. George,
Yep.
Edward,
Yes.
Jose,
I think he dropped.
Carl,
Yes.
Mari,
Yes.
Michael. I can't hear him, but okay. Sabine
Yes.
and Charlie.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
All right. So subcommittees, you'll get your marching orders here with your committee members, and you can go ahead and set those dates. And since it won't be a violation of the Brown Act, we'll be fine with that, since it won't be a majority of the committee. And then I wish everybody a happy holiday season, Merry Christmas, and
So,
be very safe out there.
so the committees are just getting together to bring it back to the big committee, right? These are subcommittees.
That's correct.
So they
next
can't
month
make any decisions or anything like that. They can
That's
just
correct.
bring back. Okay. I didn't know if everybody was clear on that.
Yeah. So what next month, the chair of each of these committees will bring reports to us on each of their committees and their progress.
Okay. And who's the chair on number 1?
I was going to talk to Francis, Muriel, and Andrew and see who was interested in chairing that.
Okay.
George or Amber, I guess, is there, as we report out on these things, it's probably helpful if each committee has a similar format. Is there a way, or Amber, do you have any templates, Amber?
For a report?
Yeah, for your committee, for committees, because the city has so many other committees already.
I can look and see what other committees do. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Yeah, because that way it makes it easier that each committee sort of puts their notes and things together in a similar format so that it can be reported out.
Okay, I'll look some stuff up and email it to you guys.
Yeah.
I would encourage us for the very first report that we would not be restricted, that we could have a little freedom and then template us later.
And do what?
I don't
Fran?
want to stifle any information or creativity that the group may want to bring, but then we can offer a template, a format for later.
Oh, my suggestion was only in a format to be able to record it easier, so that you would, all the creativity still goes in, but it's only in that we're able to, there may be certain key things that the chair may want to hear out of a committee every week, whether that's what the long-term vision is or whatever. That's what I meant by that. Yes.
Excuse me 1 second. I hate to interrupt. Amber,
Yeah.
for some reason, Jose got kicked off our main group and he's in the attendee group right now. So
Oh, okay.
we can't see him, but he can hear and see us. So
All right. There he goes.
there we go. Welcome back, Jose, even though you were never gone.
Yay. Okay, I'm here.
But I fully agree with you, Francis. I fully agree, keep the creativity and definitely get as much information as possible.
All right, fantastic. We'll do that.
One quick question, as I looked at that list on the committees. Brian, is it possible for you to email the members on the enterprise committee the projection for what the cannabis would be? For
And golf.
tax?
I could definitely take a look. I think it's on one of the staff agenda reports, so I can circle back and send that off to you guys.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah, there was a number given on the voting thing. There was a number on there. So I'm sure that must have came from HDL probably.
I thought it was 350.
350, yes.
Which I think is really low when you look at other communities our size. It's closer to 1 million. So
yeah. And then my other question was, Emily, would you be able to give the comparison committee the information that the city currently uses when they do salary surveys? Which cities are those?
Yeah.
Okay, because that, if they're using that as a comparison already, it's one of the things that committee probably wants to look at is which cities are being used as a comparison already.
Okay, I can follow up with HR. I don't know, it's gotten kind of years with total compensation. Oh gosh, Muriel might know, but yeah, I can look at HR. Ask Muriel.
So it's in the MOUs as to what, so it's online, the MOUs are online, and it's towards the back of the MOUs what other cities are comparable cities. It changes a little bit with fire, I believe, because they might use some of the special districts, but I can't remember exactly which one. But it is spelled out in the MOUs.
Yeah, I'll do snippets and I can send them out if that works for everyone. So we don't have to go digging through the MOUs because some of the MOUs aren't searchable. They're scanning. So
That would be a great start. And then if we want additional information that we can't find, we just ping Brian.
Either one of us, really.
Yeah, and then just direct us to who we should be talking to. That'd be helpful.
if finances you can go to Brian and Emily, and then any others, I'll volunteer Amber for.
Gotcha.
We're hesitating. Look, we are planning on hiring a budget staff person, so that's why we're hesitating right now. Hopefully, we'll have a name for you in a couple of weeks. So,
yay!
Yeah, so that's why we'll have somebody like a point person soon. Yay!
Yay for you, Emily. I'm happy for you.
Thank you. I'm very ecstatic, as you can tell.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited. Need that staff person to come in today or yesterday.
I don't know anyone in the city that could answer, but maybe Amber, do you know when is the city's general plan? Has that been passed recently or not yet?
That's an ongoing project. I think they have a long road ahead of them on that.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
probably,
it's just getting
Michael,
started.
what I know of it is they're going, at some point in the next couple months, they're going to start a general plan update because it's 20 years old right now, the general plan. So this update will take probably 2 to 3 years, and it'll be an extremely comprehensive one. So that's what I know of so far.
Yeah, Michael, I served on the Solano County General Plan update, and that was a long process. So it's
14 months.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun.
All right, everybody.
We have time. So, okay, good.
So George, if you send out the committees and whoever's on that first committee, we will find us a leader among ourselves.
Okay. I'll give you guys that leeway there, and then just get back to me with that.
Okay.
And then if you can also get back to me when you guys plan to meet, so we can also have some structure to it. Be amazing.
And can we share at the next meeting when the subcommittees are meeting too?
That would be fantastic. Yes.
Okay.
Does anybody have anything else to bring up tonight?
Just good wishes for Mari on her finals. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I need it.
Good luck.
All right, fantastic. Do you have a moment?
I move to adjourn. Yeah, move to adjourn.
A second.
All right, all those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Bye.
Is that good enough, Amber?
Yep, that's good.
All right. So everybody have a
Sound like a big majority.
happy, healthy rest of the year, and we'll see you in 2021.
Awesome.
Happy
Thanks, everybody. Happy
holidays.
holidays.